InObscuria!
Welcome back, my friends, to the InObscuria podcast, a podcast where we exhume obscure rock and punk and metal, and we put them in one of three categories: the lost, the forgotten, or the should-have-beens. My name this week is Kevin Williams, and the person across from me, I believe his name is Robert Harrison.
What was your name last week?
I think it was the same.
Oh, okay. Just
yeah,
clarify.
I went with the same name.
In case people just start with this episode, you don't change your name every episode.
That way I can remember it.
Okay, that's true. We are getting older.
So what's going on with you this week, sir?
Just got back from L.A.
L.A., Los Angeles.
No. Around here, that's Lower Alabama.
Oh, see, where I'm from, it's the Lancaster area.
Everybody's got an L.A. This was the deep south. It was just about as south as you can get without getting wet. So I had to go see my family for the first time in 6 months, thanks to COVID. But I got to have Christmas.
You got to have Christmas.
Christmas in April. So
Explain. You need to do some splaining.
So we didn't get to have Christmas thanks to COVID. First time in 50 years that I didn't get to have Christmas with my family. So
not even virtual.
Sucked.
You guys
not even virtual.
You guys didn't do that.
I was like, screw you. I'll see you in a couple of months. So we had a good get together and saw everybody. And I got a Christmas present.
Nice.
From my sister that I think you would have some interest in.
Well, let's let everyone see it. Oh, wait, we're not on YouTube.
Yeah, before you're still in the bag.
It's in a package.
So before I show it to you, it's a Kiss album. And since I know my sister, bless her heart, saw a Kiss album in a store and paid $20 for it. So you can tell me if this was a good deal. So you own I'm just going to guess, you own every Kiss album that was released, correct?
Every copy ever made.
Every copy, 10 copies of every album. So if you wanted to pick the coolest, like you're only allowed to really show off one album in a picture frame as people walked in your house. And, you know, we had really cool people, Brad and Bill, maybe any of them came to your house and you wanted to impress them.
Jason Kearney.
Yeah. Anybody, Jay, that follows the podcast, what Kiss album would you have in that picture frame to impress your friends?
Oh, probably The Elder. No, I would probably have maybe Alive 2. Destroyer.
No, you got to have one. Pick one.
I'm giving you options.
No.
Just one.
You pick one.
I have to pick
You're
one.
allowed to have one album in that picture frame that you show off to your cool friends. Not me. I just, you can put anything up there for me.
Asylum.
Okay. So if there was one album out of all those that you wouldn't want up there, that you'd be kind of embarrassed to put up there, what would that be?
The Peter Criss solo album.
No, just it had to be Kiss.
Oh,
just Kiss.
That is Kiss.
Well, but not solo. Like the band.
Animalize.
Okay, so I'm somewhere in the middle. So she got me
Dynasty. That's a great album.
Is okay,
That's
but it's got the kind of the disco slant. So I didn't know if that would be one of the ones that you kind of turned your nose up at.
No. That's a great album.
I like that. I mean, it's kind of, for me, it's the really cheesy, but the gourmet cheese.
Well, the funny thing about that is, when I was probably 9th grade and I was going out and trying to find Kiss albums, which back then, and if I could find a CD, I would get it because I was just starting to get CDs.
They were in the satanic section of your record store back then.
Well, they were just hard to find back then because they just, they only put out the CDs at that time in the late 80s that they knew would sell. Mm-hmm. So they weren't really into putting out whole catalogs in the stores yet because CDs were still kind of new.
Before that time.
But tapes you could kind of find. So I found 2 tapes that I had never seen before. And one was Dynasty and one was the album that comes after it called Unmasked. And all I had heard at that point was some of the 80s stuff and the really good live stuff from the 70s. Yeah. And I put both of these albums on. I was like, what the hell is this?
That's what I pictured with Dynasty. Was like if you
the cover's great though. That is a great one.
I love this cover. I mean, that is the quintessential Kiss cover right there. So $20 was a pretty good deal for an album these days.
Well, notice how poorly Peter Criss's makeup is. Like his eyes don't align; they're all crooked. because he was obviously all coked out when he was doing his makeup.
Oh, yeah, because they all did their own.
This was that time.
Yeah, but
he was
before they had a staff.
He was about done. Oh, they had a staff, but they always did their own.
Right, that's what I mean.
But he's pretty much gone. You can tell he's out there.
He's like, I'm getting paad, man, whatever. Just take the damn picture.
I'm high as a kite.
Don't give a shit where I am.
I think, yeah, he and Ace both. You can just tell they're spaced out.
They truly are. So I think, to me, that is the quintessential Kiss look. But I just thought it was funny that that's what she saw and, happened to think, oh, yeah, let me get this for my brother at this point in time.
Now, have you mentioned Kiss to her before? Why Kiss? Why did she gravitate towards that?
Well, I think she's heard me talk about going on the Kiss cruise a few times.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that story a few times about going on the Kiss cruise. So I think that just stuck in her mind when she saw that. So that was nice. It was very thoughtful.
That's cool.
She was trying, bless her heart.
Now, she paid $20 for that.
I haven't bought an album in many, many, many years. So all of my albums have the price tag on them that say $1.50.
Right.
So $20 is the going rate for Dynasty.
She might have overpaid for that.
Okay, she's in a fancy town, so they think it's cool, so they put a $20 price tag on it.
Now, if it were a brand new one, because they re-released them,
Yeah, this has been opened. It's still got the plastic cover, but it's got wear and tear on it, though.
Yeah, that's a used album. I would probably think that'd be somewhere around half that. So, but you never know. Maybe it has the poster. Does it have the poster inside?
No,
it has the poster inside.
It's just a cover. No, it's just the sleeve.
God, no! You don't pay $20 for that.
Okay,
because it doesn't. The original version had a poster.
Oh, I'm going to tell her that then, so she'll feel bad.
No, make her feel bad.
So anyway, that was my weekend, was getting Christmas presents and Kiss albums for Christmas. It was very weird.
Well, that's cool. Well, hey, if you want to get more Kiss stuff, do you know where you can do that?
Pod of Thunder, Kisstery.com.
No.
Did I get it wrong?
No.
What are we leading into?
I'm leading into
the other thing that we're doing
in
this year?
August.
Oh, the August.
You can go to the Rock and Pod
Get
Expo.
all kinds of memorabilia and
there's
merch.
going to be Kiss merchandise.
You think there's going to be some Kiss stuff there?
Oh yeah, there will be vendors there who only sell Kiss stuff.
Oh, really? I didn't know they were that popular.
And to tell you a little bit more about what this is all about, I'm going to turn it over to Aaron Camaro from the Decibel Geek.
Take it away, Aaron.
It's been a long time since we've rock and rolled, but that all changes this August as Rockin' Pod returns to Nashville. This annual convention brings together rock artists, fans, and podcasters for an unforgettable rock experience. Special guests this year include Billy Sheehan, Ron Keel, Don Jameson of That Metal Show, and current and former members of Winger, LA Guns, Accept, and more. Stage panels, signing sessions, and photo ops will be available, plus lots of vinyl and memorabilia vendors. Music podcasters from all over North America will be appearing on site for live interviews, speaking sessions, networking, and more. Got a music podcast? Register and join us. Rockin' Pod Weekend kicks off with a pre-party featuring former Tesla guitarist Tommy Skio and his new band Resist and Bite, making their debut performance, as well as a rare hair set featuring surprise guests performing all-time classics. Rockin' Pod Weekend takes place August 6th through the 8th in Nashville, Tennessee. Tickets, VIP passes, podcast registration, and discounted hotel rooms are available now at rockandpod.com. Rockin' Pod is brought to you by DBG Productions, Bradley Entertainment, and Incaptia.
How about that?
Wow, we've made it.
That's all professional.
It's so professional.
Of course, Aaron's probably high when he records it.
Hey guys, let me tell you about this. Oh look, I'll get these. Never mind. What were we talking about? Oh
What?
Yeah, Rockin' Pod.
Yeah, exactly. So after you smoke a bowl and do a little radio promo, go listen to Pod of Thunder, Growing Up Rock, the Slam Fest podcast, Decibel Geek, Podcast Rock City, Cobras and Fire, Rock Strikes 10, Metal Up Your Podcast, The Dummy Room, The Hustle, Kisstory Science Theater, State of Amorica, Potter Than Hell, Podkist, The Kiss Room, I Love It Loudcast, Ages of Rock, The Synaptic Empire, and don't forget about Monty's Rockcast. Come visit us at InObscuria.com. Like us, share us, recommend us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're everywhere. Leave us a review. Let me see. No, it's not time for our quarterly review, so might as well not even check. We did that last time.
Yeah, quarterly reviews?
We've already done that.
Yeah, we did that. We don't have to have another board meeting for another few months.
All right. Well, I thought last week was fun. Got a little deep into the Marillion world.
And since then, I remembered you had mentioned Kaylee, their big hit.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I didn't remember it. And I went and looked it up. And my God, of course,
You do remember it?
First, no. I remember it from MTV, the video.
Right.
Because he's not your typical rock star looking, especially in the 80s.
Kind of a big guy.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
Hairline was kind of going away a little
Receding,
bit.
yeah.
He was in a trench coat. And that song, I remember back then, it's not your typical pop song at all. And that's why it's a really good song. It's very deep and emotional, but I just remember it being odd. That was my feelings at the time was, that's kind of an odd song. And didn't think much about it, but I totally remember it.
I have a feeling 40 years from now, I'll be talking about it on a radio podcast.
Wow. What the fuck's a podcast? What's the internet? So yeah, that was, I did my research, went back and went, oh yes, I do remember that. Cause I think Ryan mentioned it. That it got some airplay. I'm like, yeah, it did. I don't remember radio airplay, but it definitely got rotation on MTV for a little bit.
Now, was that the video that the kid was in?
Yeah.
It's on the cover?
Yeah. It's, he's in a trench coat. Then there's Kaylee, the lady, and apparently she was modeled. That they got married or something like that. There was a backstory.
The kid? That's gross.
No.
Oh.
No.
The fish?
That wasn't that long ago.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, there was some, I don't know. I can't remember the exact story. So yeah, it was cool to relive that and go, my God, of course I remember that. And then stumbled across a couple of live versions of Neverland, my favorite Marillion song. And there's a Marillion convention.
Oh yeah, I
watched
that.
several. The several videos from that. It's pretty amazing. And then there was further down the rabbit hole, there was a video that was just the response that somebody had to watching the live version, watching. So it's just like it keeps doubling down.
Was it a good response or was it?
Yeah, like emotional. No, like getting emotional. Watching it was like so intense and deep. No, actually, it was a middle-aged couple. And they listen to a lot of different music, and so I watched her reaction to "Comfortably Numb," and then her reaction. I'm like, "How have you never heard that? What kind of hole have you been living in, where you've never heard that song?" I mean, good God! So anyway, I just went down that rabbit hole, the Marillion rabbit hole. That is pretty interesting to go down.
Interesting. Yeah, usually it's either a millennial or a centennial who's doing the reaction to something that's
some 18-year-old
from our
what?
time.
Oh my God! Like yeah, whatever.
People actually play instruments.
What? Like, how much can you act in order to get subscribers? Okay, that's cool.
Well, last week, in fact, in the past couple of weeks, I haven't had to do any sort of seances. I haven't had to do any meditation or any dream states. Mm-hmm. Everything's come to me. So, and they have come to me in dreams, so I guess I have done a dream state, but nothing that I tried to do. It's just come to me, and something has alerted me to the subject of the week, and this week was no different. I had another dream state vision. And
so now that the lockdown's over, now they're all coming to you when, 9 months ago, that would have been great for them to come to you and you not have to get out of the house as much.
Exactly. Well, this one's a little bit different, so I'll explain. So I fall asleep every night with my headphones on. And I do that because I wear a CPAP.
Yeah.
And that thing is annoying.
Seriously, you have to wear. I mean, I've got one too. So for full disclosure, Kevin and I both are Darth Vader after about 11 o'clock at night.
And it's not like I'm a big guy.
No, neither one of us
are big guys.
We don't fit that stereotype
we just
at
can't
all.
Sleep.
No, we have problems. Like in addition to all the other problems, you're like, oh, I suck at sleeping.
Yeah, I'm horrible at sleeping. My wife tells me that I basically choke and cough and do all sorts of stuff when I don't wear this machine on my face. So basically I wear this machine on my face that sounds like Darth Vader, and the only way I can get to sleep is to listen to music. Now, usually I'm listening to music, and what happens when the album's over? It cuts off.
Yeah.
Well, the other night, I'm listening to the latest Cobras and Fire episode, which is a podcast, which, guess what they don't do?
They just keep going.
They just keep going in perpetuity.
Especially a podcast that's been around for a long time. They're going to have 5 million episodes.
They've got, over 200 episodes or whatever it is. So it just keeps going. So sometime in what I think is the middle of the night, I'm kind of semi-awoken, and I'm hearing talking, but at this point, I forget who I'm listening to and what's going on. And I'm listening to some idiot talk about grunge and how it didn't kill hair metal because everything is cyclical. It was, very stated in such a way as the person wanted you to think they were learned. It's cyclical and everything seems to follow the decade. The 80s had its run and now the world was ready for change in the 90s. And this person went on to mention how this happened in the 60s to the 70s bands, or the 60s bands going into the 70s. And again, it happened in the 70s with those bands trying to transition to the 80s. And in the 80s, you had to compete with new wave and punk and this new thing called heavy metal. And it made all these classic rock giants change what they played. And then I really realized what I was listening to. It was me.
You?
It was me. It was me on the Whatever Nevermind episode that came out in April 6th. So I actually hadn't been asleep that long, but probably 2 or 3 episodes or so ago.
But your voice is what woke you up. Like
my own voice
God,
is what woke me up. And I was thinking, this guy's so full of himself. And yeah, it was me. So
did video kill the radio star?
Did video kill the radio star?
Grunge kill the
grunge
killed the hair metal
star? Well, I said no because everything I just said.
You're just contrarian.
So anyway, at least I gave myself the subject for this week.
Oh.
And this week we're going to do episode 76, Old in the 80s. What were they thinking? And by that, I mean, out of the 70s, you had punk rock, the late 70s. You had disco in the late 70s. You had the new wave of British heavy metal, all invading your ear holes in the late 70s. And what happened to all of those bands that were filling stadiums and playing guitar-based rock, those classic rock bands that were so famous in the 70s, all of a sudden you had the punkers calling them dinosaurs. In the same decade where most of them got famous, but they were called dinosaurs. And when we got into the 80s, if you didn't adapt, you were labeled a dinosaur and your career might be over. So the biggest change, I would say, And do you agree with that? I mean, that's just how I remember and from what I've read. But
yeah, I remember a couple examples, not anything too specific other than Johnny Lydon went into Public Image Limited, which was not a punk band. It was an edgy new wave band. Is my best recollection, not an expert on that, but the songs that I know from them, it was just, a little edgy, not as synthy as some of the new wave stuff, but it was a big change from, Anarchy in the USA. Yeah, that's like the quintessential punk band.
I believe it's in the UK, not the USA, but...
Right. Did I say that?
You said USA.
Oh, I hadn't eaten dinner yet. Yeah.
Well, you just hold that one in your pocket. We may revisit that.
Okay, we'll get to that. But I'm jumping the gun. But yeah, so I remember a few examples of that, yes.
Yes, all those bands, think Doobie Brothers and all the bands that were just huge and filling stadiums when it came to the 80s, those days were kind of gone for them in a way, so you had to make a change. And I would say the biggest change, and you just sort of alluded to it, the biggest change when we hit the 80s were keyboards and computers and this thing called MIDI, which is an acronym for Musical Instrument Digital Interface. Basically a thing that you could hook into a normal guitar or other instruments and get other sounds out of it that you couldn't get before. So everything's running through either a sampler or something's being programmed. And that was all brand new, and it was being embraced mostly by the genre that we know as new wave. Right? So kind of coming out of punk and coming out of glam and pop, a lot of these new bands, they embraced this thing called new wave, and it was embracing the technology of the day, which is in the 80s, the digital world of keyboards and programmed drum sounds. All of a sudden, you didn't really have to have a drummer. You could just program it, or your drummer didn't have to play real drums. They could hit these crazy looking, geometrically shaped, I don't know, stop sign looking drums that made these weird sounds.
Pew, 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 pew. Neil Peart did that.
Yeah, everybody did it, right? So that's what we're going to talk about. And it changed how bands recorded and the instruments that were used predominantly in recording. You went from analog recording to digital recording. So all this stuff is brand new. And again, if there was a rock band that was big in the 70s, if they wanted to transition, they might have to adopt some of this new stuff. Now, when I think about new wave artists, and that's where we're going to focus today on new wave, bands that I think of, and you throw out some if you think of somebody else. I think Depeche Mode, Duran Duran, The Police, Devo, The Cars, sorta. I think the Cars could be put in there. Flock of Seagulls, Dead or Alive, Eurythmics, Pet Shop Boys.
Yeah.
Anybody I've missed?
Those are the big ones.
Those are big. Maybe, did I mention New Order, Blondie? Maybe you could put Blondie in there.
Yeah, Blondie's the version of punk that became new wave, kind of direct. They
kind of the New York outlier.
New York, yeah, exactly.
Talking Heads, that's another one.
Talking
probably
Heads.
Same category there. But, those are the bands that were scoring hits in the early 80s. So those are the bands that I think of, and those are the bands that set the stage for how music would sound in the 80s. And it stretched across all the music in the 80s. And if these dinosaurs, these older bands from the 70s, are going to survive, They had to embrace the change, and they could do that in a couple ways. They could go punkier, which not many of them did that.
No.
Some did. They could go heavier. A lot did that. So a lot of the bands that were classic rock all of a sudden were being put in the hard rock and heavy metal category because that was selling. Or they could go poppier and ride the new wave with the aid of all the digital toys that were out there. And that's what a lot of them did. And some of the classic rock bands were really successful in doing that. And when I think about it, even subgenres of classic rock bands, like if you look at prog, Genesis.
Yeah.
They made the transition, no problem.
Yes.
Yes did it. Asia, right? That was like
God.
a supergroup.
Heat of the Moment.
prog.
That was a huge song.
Peter Gabriel.
Yep.
Rush, to some extent.
Yeah, they added synthesizers somewhere around there and changed their sound a little bit, but it became more 80s. You listen to the early
They
Rush
started
compared
doing
to the 80s
4-minute
Rush.
songs versus 12-minute songs.
Yeah, so they adapted kind of like the prog rock bands did. They just boiled it down a little bit.
Yeah. So that was prog. Even the punk groups. The punk was huge in the late 70s. We talked about it in our episode when we were talking about First Wave. That was 76 to basically 79, 80.
Yeah.
And even those bands. Think of Billy Idol. Billy Idol was in Generation X.
Yep.
In the 80s, he is like the poppiest kind of new wave hard rock mix, you know, and had hits. That's when he was big. The Clash. If you listen to the last couple of albums from The Clash before they broke up, very new wave sounding. It really embraced a lot of the technology as well. Even R&B. Perfect example, Hall & Oates.
Oh, God.
In the
What a
70s,
transition.
They were an R&B band.
And good.
Really good.
Holy crap.
Funky, soulful,
Yeah.
and pure pop, keyboardy
I mean,
bliss
when you get to
in the
Man
80s.
Eater,
Whoa, here she comes.
there's no more R&B in that.
No.
It's just pop.
It's just pop. Tina Turner. Talk about a queen of soul from the late 60s who in the 80s transitioned everything to basically that poppy
We
new
don't need
wave
another hero.
keyboard
What
thing.
another huge, massive hit. Just pop.
And then if you just look at the rock bands from the 60s and 70s that made the transition, David Bowie, he was always changing though. How about this one? Big in the 70s regionally, but didn't really make it big until the 80s and their embracing of new wave. Jay Giles Band. Freeze Frame.
I love that one. That's
Centerfold.
such a great album.
That's a
Piss
great
on
album.
The wall.
But that is new wave. I mean, they basically embraced what was going on.
That's a synthy, poppy, new wave lick. I'll start that song off. So there's 70s bands that were just a hard rock. Let's say Boston. They continued through the 80s. They didn't change their sound too much, although
They also didn't last that long.
but they made it into the 80s. They did the whole power ballad.
Yeah.
There's 2 or 3 bands that extended their lifespan because they had one good power ballad.
Because they kind of took the AOR route.
Yeah,
that was the
and
thing
so
too. Yeah,
Cheap Trick had a good power ballad. But other than that, it just dragged them into the 80s a little bit more, but it wasn't as successful as the bands that reinvented themselves. So there's the Heart embraced hair metal look with the big
the
hair,
synthy poppy sound.
synthy, and the ballads, the power ballads. They became a power ballad band basically after that.
How about a band that at one point was called Jefferson Airplane in the 60s, and in the 80s they have a huge hit as Starship.
Yeah, one of the cheesiest pop songs.
We built this
ever.
city on rock and roll.
God, that's...
But
so,
I mean, just talk about complete
embraced
change.
it. Yeah, they totally went pop with everything.
Now, those are bands that did it well. And I would even throw Robert Plant in there. From a solo perspective, after he left Zeppelin, everything he did in the early 80s that was solo was pretty new wavy, pretty experimental.
Now, let me ask about Rod Stewart. I can't remember. I mean, he was in the band Faces. I can't remember what kind of band they were. I don't know many Faces tunes.
They were blues-based 60s band, 70s band.
And then he morphed into the sappy...
He started doing his own stuff in the disco era, and he had had a couple of disco.
Oh yeah, okay,
kind of hits.
That's right.
Do you think I'm sexy? Late
I do.
70s.
No, sorry.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Not tonight.
Ooh,
Robert.
sorry.
Not tonight.
But yeah, so that I was trying to think. Yeah, not with that CPAP and those headphones. But yeah, that's okay. I couldn't remember how that started, but yeah, the Billy Idol one is he's hardcore punk, and then
and then he's making these pop songs.
But amazing guitar. So
Steve Stevens.
God, I love that. That piqued my interest even when I didn't know how to play guitar. That I wanted to play a guitar. That was just like, holy crap, that guy's amazing.
So as cheesy as some of these examples that we've talked about, these are all bands that did this. These are all dinosaurs that did this really well. Now, there were some others,
bless their hearts,
who not so much. it didn't quite transition quite as well, even though they tried really hard. And so here's what we're going to do tonight. I am not going to talk about the song until after we play it, because I want to know, do you know who this is?
Yeah. Oh, did we mention Kiss?
Well, now Kiss took the hard rock route.
Right. They didn't go new wave, but was it successful in your mind? They took the makeup off, went full hairband from glam rock.
Even after that album where
Dynasty.
they played a little disco, right?
Yeah.
That's when they started chasing trends a little bit. Is on that album Dynasty that's sitting up here that you talked about earlier. The album after that is a power pop album called Unmasked that diehard Kiss fans like, but if you just kind of sort of knew Kiss and you heard that, you would not know it's Kiss.
Okay. So
but it was
they were already
pop.
chasing trends.
They were chasing trends, and then they realized after they had a failed 1981, we're going to be Pink Floyd and try to do The Wall, and they did The Elder, and it was a complete flop. Then they thought, we got to start chasing the hard rock trend. That's more in our
That's when they got the mask, the makeup off and the hair and everything else.
Well, they did one more album with makeup,
they did?
and then they took it off and lick it up. But yeah, they went down the hairband route, which worked well for them. If you read some books, it wasn't as successful as they may have made it seem. But they sold a lot of records. So
they had the name to start with. All right, so getting back to the new wave stuff.
Yeah, so we're going to focus, and this is a series, I think, that we're going to do.
We can do several of these.
We may focus on the hard rock and some of those that maybe didn't transition quite as well as they had hoped into that spectrum. But no, we're going to talk about new wave today. I just want to go ahead and say this up front. If you were listening to this and you're really into the metal and the punk and not as much the rock, this might be a little hard to swallow. Because we're going to listen to some new wave music played by groups that didn't really know what they were doing. So I'm going to play the first one. And when we get back, let's see if you know who it is. And, then I'll start talking a little bit about what you just heard.
Candy, 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 I can't let you go. Same guy.
And who is it?
Iggy Pop.
It is Iggy Pop. Mr. James Newell Osterberg Jr.
Is that his real name? I've never thought to Google that.
The man that's known as being the godfather of punk,
Yeah.
the wild frontman of the Stooges of the late 60s, early 70s, the innovator of glam rock and proto-punk, and the aid of, David Bowie in the mid to late 70s with all those crazy German albums that they did. And this is what we get in 1986.
Oh, so was that before Candy? Is that the name of the song I'm thinking of? He collaborated with the singer from B-52s.
I don't believe that's on this album. This album is called Blah, Blah, Blah.
It's probably after that then.
Maybe before or after, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But this is the last collaboration that he did with David Bowie. And he has totally disowned this album.
Oh, he does?
And said this was a Bowie album. It wasn't me.
Oh, no, I didn't do it. Wasn't me.
Because he lost his cred with this.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. Now, what he gained with this was his 7th solo album. This is his most commercially successful album he's ever had.
So he made some bank on it.
Yeah. So Real Wild Child was the song that was the hit off of this. It was number 27 on the Billboard, and in the UK it was top 10.
Yeah, I remember that one.
So the funny thing about most of this album is written by Bowie with Iggy Pop, except for a few songs, including the one you just heard, who was written by Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols.
What's going on in this upside down world? What is going on?
You got the godfather of
Hardcore
punk and
punk.
the punker, and this is what they give us in 1986.
They had mellowed out a lot. I guess
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
you'd think you'd be the opposite. God, I know. First of all, I have successfully avoided that my entire life because I know that if I did that, you and other friends would just strangle me, just take me out back and put me out of my misery because I'd be so damn annoying, more annoying than normal. So I would thought that it would have been the other way, that you would start off mellow like this, do a couple of bumps, and then
go crazy.
Just go crazy and knock your shit over. So
no, these guys I think these guys were hardly working.
maybe this is just the crash after
Just
it.
show up and
Yeah.
do what they tell you and get out and
Sure,
do another
man,
line.
let's do it. Yeah, let's go, knock it out, man.
But
Because he had another song like this within the past 4 or 5 years. All I want to do is till Gardenia, something. I can't remember now. It's real catchy, very similar without the synths. Like it was very stripped down, just him kind of crooning.
He had an album after this where he kind of chased the hair metal just a little bit, and he had a little bit more of I think it was called Cold Metal was a song, and that was kind of a hit in the hair metal era.
Yeah,
so
I don't remember that.
he started chasing a little bit too. And I mean, if you didn't know it was Iggy Pop and you listened to that song, what were your thoughts on it?
It was
mediocre.
Yeah, definitely. Because the looking back now, there's synth that I still love to this day. I mean, like the Blade Runner soundtrack, Vangelis. That some people might see that as really cheesy, but to me it's just great. It's amazing. It's just a soundscape. But then the one in this song was just that Casio
Kind of dialing it in a little bit.
Yeah, just what's that 80s sound that everybody's doing now? Oh, it's this button right here. Okay, that sounds good.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of the image I get from that.
So here's the weird thing about me is I actually, and if you listen to this podcast, I own all of these, right? So I actually own this. And I have some weird affection for these albums that are just so out there from what the artist usually does. I just find it appealing just from this is crazy, what the hell were they thinking? And that's what we're talking about today. What were they thinking?
Well, and you have to ask, were they pushing the limits? Like, as an artist, we're going to really find the edge. Or was it what you said before is, well, let's just get this done. I got to do this album.
I need to make some money.
Need to make some money.
Yeah.
Fine. David Bowie wrote it, so I'll sing it.
Yeah.
What is it? Because I can respect hey, let's push the envelope, but, it doesn't work out.
And some of it's probably experimentation. All this stuff was new. They didn't have these tools and these toys before.
Yeah.
So,
but it is 86.
86, it was
not
I was
brand
pushing
new.
it.
It was pushing towards the end of the newness of it.
Yeah, the new wave was winding
Yes,
down.
if this were 81 or 82, yeah,
Right.
you're in that first wave.
Well, let's dive into the next one. This is from 1984.
Under wraps.
Keep it quiet, go slow. Circulate, need to know. Stamp a date upon your file. Masquerade, but well worthwhile.
Dear God. Oh my God. They went through every setting on that Yamaha that was in that catalog. They got the owner's manual and like, all right, page 1, push this button. Cool. What's next? Okay. There were 50 different, there were samples that sounded like, they were so bad that it sounded like there were people imitating the, it sounded like people imitating the keyboard. It was so bad. I mean,
and who was it?
It could have been 15 different bands from back then. It kind of sounded like H from Marillion, but he was in a new wave band. But I'm sure it's somebody else. So I couldn't pick out the singer.
This is a band that's known for codpiece wearing, flute playing, progressive rocking, and folksy ballads. The band known for Aqualung and Locomotive Breath. That was
didn't
Jethro
sound like him at
Tull.
all. Very much more melodic than he normally is.
That was Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull.
What was it, Ian Anderson or was it Jethro Tull?
No, it's Jethro Tull.
It's full on Jethro Tull.
Basically, he fired the drummer
and got a Yamaha
and programmed everything. And this came out in 1984.
Oh God.
I mean,
once again, now if that had been 78, 79, I could understand the fascination. But by 84, wow, we had moved on a little bit by 84. I mean, I can't get over how many different effects or sounds or samples were in that one song.
Now, 5 years later, this came out in 84. 5 years later, this band would beat Metallica and get a Grammy for Best Hard Rock and Metal Performance.
They should have been just banned way before them for this one song.
Now, the funny thing about that is this was the last album that they put out before they realized they had to make a switch, and that's when they went harder, and that's when they won their Grammy.
You got to go down before you go back up.
So they realized, I think, after this came out, maybe we went too far. This doesn't really work.
Wow. And they thought that was going to be a huge hit. I guarantee they're sitting in the control room going, oh my God.
Why else? I mean, maybe it was just Ian Anderson wanting to experiment, but it sounds like you're really trying hard. Can you imagine the first time that me as a probably 18, 19-year-old who had maybe 3 Jethro Tull albums at the time. Can you imagine? We had no internet, and I saw this album that I had never seen before by Jethro Tull, and I thought, I'm going to grab that one. I bet that's good.
What the damn? I had a $30 Casio keyboard that was like 16 inches long, this tiny little thing, in 1983, and I had better sounds than that song right there. It was a lot of samples you could sample on it, so it was a lot of belches and fart noises. Of course, that's what you do when you're 13 years old, and I'm sure my parents regretted buying me that instantly when they heard that coming from my bedroom.
A band that was, if you ever watched the Woodstock movie, at one point you could hear the first Jethro Tull album being played on the PA in between acts in the Woodstock movie. A band that went all the way from that Summer of Love and Woodstock
all the way
to
down.
This.
See, I thought Jefferson Airplane to Jefferson Starship was a low step for a 60s band that had all the street cred in the world.
Oh, yeah.
All the street
they
cred.
Were cool. They were hippies,
super
man.
cool. God. But then, that's a long way down that pop hole.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Hell of a drug. Gotta try it sometime. I guess so, man. No way to go but up.
Woo! Yeah, so Under Wraps, go check it out. I actually, again, weirdness as it is, I actually enjoy listening to the album because it's just so out there. Now we're really going to get out there.
Oh God, this is getting better.
This is really going to be hard for you, but we'll come back. Okay. This is from 1982, so this is somebody getting in fairly early trying to poke through the new wave. Here we go.
Okay, you ready for this?
All right, who is that?
I don't know, but I liked it.
Did you like it?
I liked it. It's such a fine line because the last song, once again, it sounds like they're just throwing stuff at the wall. Like, oh, we got this new toy, pushing buttons. It didn't seem like there was a lot of passion to it. There might have been, but it didn't come across. With this, it was limited in scope, unlike the last one. It was earlier. It was the time when there were huge bands like Styx doing the exact same thing. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Mm-hmm. And that was huge.
That was a big hit.
Now, it killed them pretty much, but
it killed their career.
Thunk. But it was huge at the time. And so they get a little more street cred for the fact that this was going on at the time. They weren't just, hearing something going, let's just do the same thing. So I don't know who it was. So who was it?
Well, it was obvious to me that the person who this was listening to Kraftwerk, which is
I was going to say, this sounds, and I said Bauhaus in my head, but I knew that wasn't the right one. I was thinking of Kraftwerk. That's the one I was thinking of.
This is exactly what Kraftwerk does. And if you've never heard them, they basically invented this kind of electronic music in the 70s.
Yeah.
And it sounds very similar to this. And they always use that vocoder instead of a real voice.
Yeah.
So that's running a voice through a keyboard or a vocoder, and you get that
Eddie Grant's
robot sound.
Won't You Take Me to Funky Town?
Oh, and the Electric Avenue.
Electric Avenue, yeah.
So that was a Canadian singer-songwriter who's been playing since the 60s. He's won Grammys and Juno Awards. He is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice.
Ooh.
He's voted Rolling Stone's 34th greatest rock and roll artist, also known as the godfather of grunge.
Oh, no.
And you liked it.
Oh,
that
no.
is none other than Neil Young.
No. Oh, damn it. Son of a bitch. Hang on. All right. I got to go take a shower. I don't know. No. Wow.
Yeah, Neil Young.
I am completely taken aback. Wow.
He was in Buffalo Springfield.
Crap.
He was in CSNY.
He should have stuck to that. I would listen to him if he did more stuff like that.
So here's what happened.
Oh, God.
He signed to Geffen Records after being on, I think it was Reprise or somebody for a really long time. He signed to Geffen, and he was getting $1 million in the early 80s, $1 million an album, just to make an album. And so he took it upon himself to just do whatever the hell he felt like.
Hats off to you, sir. Respect the hell out of him. Can't listen to him, but I respect the hell out of him.
So he releases that in 1982, and then he follows it up in 1983 with a rockabilly album. And guess what happens in 1983? David Geffen files a lawsuit against Neil Young saying that he deliberately delivered uncommercial and unrepresentative work.
How'd that go?
Neil Young countersued, and at some point, David Geffen apologized, and they dropped the suit.
Once again, hats off to you, sir, for that. Mad respect for who you are and what you've done. I mean, I'll listen to that song.
You hate Neil Young. You hate him.
I don't hate him. I hate his voice, and I hate his guitar playing even more. It's just fingernails on a chalkboard to me. Either voice or guitar or both together. Heaven forbid they're in the same place. So, yeah, I know. Send me the hate mail.
When you said you loved that, I couldn't have scripted this any better.
You son of a bitch. Rope-a-dope. Rope this dope right here. God, it seriously was Kraftwerk. Good Kraftwerk. Like I said, he limited it in scope. He didn't just go all over the map, but he stuck to some basic formula and some rhythms and a chorus verse type stuff and the woo. Woo, 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 woo. But I could see that being like retro popular. Like the other stuff you just listen to and laugh at. This, I would listen to it again. And
I would go buy this on vinyl right now if I found it.
I totally would play this at a party. In fact, I think we need to put together a playlist and let me just slide that in the next party and just watch people's reactions because
we are in control.
Yeah, normally my parties are more rock oriented. As far as the soundtrack, if it's at my house, I get to pick the music for the most part. So we're going to throw in more or funk, and I love throwing in funk at parties, old school good funk. So this is next on my playlist for now that we can have parties again.
So I love the name of the album because you can take it a couple of different ways. It's from 1982. It's called Trans.
Yeah.
But the cover is like a
Didn't age well.
a DeLorean with the.
Oh, no, that's topical.
So and it looks very much Back to the Future, and this is before Back.
This
to
is
the
3 years before Back to the
So,
Future. That's
anyway.
awesome, man. This is why I do this podcast. Those moments. This is only the third song. Holy crap. I'm holding on.
So I think we're going to move to song number 4. I think this is the one that you're not going to have trouble with, but
Okay.
I had to play it. So here we go.
This is not a love song. 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 It's not a love song. This is 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 not a
That was a beautiful love song.
It's not a love song.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Oh, I didn't quite get that. 500 times they repeated that, but needed to go a couple more minutes and I would have understood that wasn't a love song. Yeah.
And who was that?
Was that the Public Image Limited?
That was the
LTD?
man formerly known as Johnny Rotten.
Yes.
Yes, that was John Lydon's band after the Sex Pistols. The punkiest of the punks went to that in 1983, 84.
Hey, you know, I kept them off the streets. Gave them something to do.
So, yeah, Pill or Public Image Limited. Their first couple albums were what they called anti-rock, and it was very avant-garde and noisy. And then with this one, this single came out in 83, and I think the album dropped in 84, but it was John Lydon saying, oh, you want a hit, record company? I'll give you a hit.
I'll write some hits.
And he got one. And they told him to write a love song. He said, I'm not writing a love song. So that's how it came about.
Love it.
Yeah, so.
Like how much creative energy is created by record companies being D-bags? Just
yeah.
being dicks. Like, okay, fine. You want that? Because I would have been in the same situation. We ever got to the point where they were telling me to do this and that. You know how much I love that. I
know that.
I thrive on people telling me, you know what you should do?
Love to follow rules.
Yeah. Like, no.
Listen to people's feedback.
Oh, yeah. Tell me some more of things, what direction I should go in. Fuck you.
And, thinking about this, like, that's the dude that was in the Sex Pistols.
God,
and this is what he went to? So far removed.
And was 3 years.
Not even
3.5 years after. I'm trying to think. When did they end? 79?
Well, no, they only had the one album, so 77
but I mean, after
came
like
out.
Tour...
So they were done by 78.
78,
so
okay.
The very first Public Image
than that.
Limited came out in 78. So they had these avant-garde late 70s albums with Pill, and then they had kind of a break, and then this came out. But, I was thinking about other punk bands. We already mentioned Billy Idol, right? He was a punk in the 70s, and then he goes his route. And then even the Clash, Mick Jones left the Clash, and you remember his group, Big Audio Dynamite.
That's right.
Same kind of thing.
Exactly. They did it well.
No, they did it really well.
Or better, however you want to look at it. But yeah,
there was the band The Stranglers. They were a punk band in the 70s and the 80s. Their stuff was very new wave. And then even The Damned, they didn't go new wave, but they went the other way and they went goth.
Goth, yeah.
So, which, was in between.
But still, it was in the poppy direction.
Exactly.
Away from punk.
So it's so interesting to me that the guys who were calling the 70s bands dinosaurs kind of became dinosaurs and went the same route.
Yeah.
They took the same path. So interesting. All right, we're going to go to the fifth song. This one might be a little harder. This came out in 1983. Listen closely.
At least I know the way you feel. zigzag walk. Zigzag walk and the road. Zigzag coming to my road. No stone gonna be unturned when you're out there walking and talking, baby, doing the zigzag walk. I said, baby, doing the zigzag walk. Doing that walk.
I'm going to hate myself for not knowing who that is. Who is it?
This is a tougher one.
Okay. It just sounds so familiar, but I can't place the exact band.
Well, I would say this band was not only riding the new wave, but they were also embracing maybe a little Stray Cat strut, maybe a little ZZ Top.
Oh, absolutely. This song could be a rockabilly song. I thought of
kind
it.
of, yeah.
Well, first of all,
that,
Zigzag Walk, ZZ Top stands for
Right.
Zigzag Top. So, yeah, it could have gone in a couple of different directions.
Yeah, this is actually an English band that was formed in 1971, and they formed after the split of two acid rock bands that we've talked about in past episodes, Savoy Brown and Black Cat Bones. And this band always will live in my memory as the band that had that awesome song in Dazed and Confused. Slow ride. This is Foghat.
Oh my God. Once again, I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah, a band that was known as a hard rockin' boogie band from the 70s.
And almost Southern rock in a way. Foghat's not a Southern rock, but they embrace the Southern rock.
Yeah, kind of funky,
yeah.
dirty. Did you know that Foghat in the 70s had 5 gold, a platinum, and a double platinum album?
Jeez. And the fact that there is a band touring called Foghat that has no original members in the band right now that you can go see up at the place in wherever that is.
Oh, the Mapleton?
No.
Place?
Well, Maine, first Maine. It's in Woodstock, I think.
37
Maine, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a new venue-ish venue up there. But yeah, I saw a promo for Foghat, and it's a bunch of old dudes, but still none of them are original members. They've all joined since then.
It's funny you say that because something I noted here was this album. So they had kind of chased trends starting in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
Like they totally went away from the Foghat sound. And this came out in 83. And this was the nail in the coffin, literally, for Foghat.
And they transitioned to a legacy band at this point.
They transitioned to a legacy. They stopped because this did so horribly. They stopped for a few years. And when they came back together, they were a legacy band from there out.
Yep.
Until this day. And I think there's been several versions of the band. And at this point in time in 2021, 4 of the prominent, almost original members have died.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, the band that's out there now
they're
is
not
not
just
even
not in
Foghat.
the band. They're not alive.
They're dead.
Yeah, the original band is dead.
So,
And there's, like I said, but there's a band called Foghat that who knows that they just keep going and rotate members, and it's a gravy train, a small, shallow gravy train.
it's a meal
Short,
ticket.
a short gravy train is what
say
it's.
that,
It's a
yeah.
meal ticket. Yeah.
I mean, this is the ultimate version of the band that tried to make the new wave transition and just failed miserably.
Well, would you say Styx did the same thing? Because after
Absolutely.
Mr. Roboto,
that was it.
they would have the inevitable, oh, here's our new song at the end of the show when they toured. Because I remember, I think they threw in a couple of quote unquote new songs that everybody rolls their eyes at and goes to the bathroom. But after that, I don't remember anything being released or played on the radio or anything. That was the nail in the coffin right there.
No, the rest of the band were so fed up with Dennis DeYoung after that they basically quit.
Yeah.
And Tommy Shaw went to do Damn Yankees and
Yep.
solo stuff and was successful elsewhere. And now Styx is back without Dennis DeYoung, and they've been going ever since.
Exactly, and put on a damn good show. I think we saw them a couple of times. But
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there, that we add that to the list of bands that tried and failed
Absolutely.
miserably.
Well, yes and no, because they had a big hit.
Well,
But
failed
it killed-
after that.
It
It killed the career.
band.
Yeah, so
it killed the band.
yeah, you won the battle, lost the war.
Exactly. That's a good way of putting it. So let's play another one of those.
Okay.
Here's the very last album that came out in 1983 from this 70s giant. This is what killed them.
Oh my God.
A man is innocent until you make it lie. Well, you can cry, little lady, but I never put no one before you. And you get hurt if you wanna, but don't let it get in your way, baby. Let people talk, but please don't believe what they say, girl. Please don't believe them, 'cause a man is innocent until he's proven guilty. When people lie to your face, well, I guess it's just a jealousy. Oh, can't you see it must be that lie about your love? That says he's not an undercover. It's just a stab in the back, but it just can't be a fact about me. It can't be, no, no. Just can't be now. Well, there ain't nothing in the world like a woman's scorn and fury. Sometimes you can't change her mind, 'cause she's her own judge and jury. Let people talk, please don't believe what they say, girl. Please don't believe them, 'cause a man is innocent until he's proven guilty. A man is innocent until he's proven guilty. It can't be, no. A man is innocent until he's proven guilty.
All right, so I don't know, but this is my thought process when I'm listening to this song. So if you take away the vocalist, because I just couldn't place him, he sounds like
It's almost there, right?
4 dozen different things. But if you listen to just the music, you think of, okay, bands that were big in the 70s, but that didn't have any hits after that. Okay, bands that had keyboard players or that electric piano. So the first two that came to mind were Doobie Brothers, Steely Dan. Because if I'm remembering
You're
correctly,
not right on either one.
right? But
you
like
could be. I see your thought
the
process.
vocalist was vetoing those two thoughts because I'm like, well, their vocalists were very distinct. I would recognize that. So then I'm like, okay, go way off. I'm like, Deep Purple. They had a keyboard player, but no, they had a hit in the 80s.
Yeah.
So that wasn't them. But so I'm stumped. But that's as far as I got. So I'd have to listen to it a second time.
You're really close. You're really close. You're kind of dancing around it. This is an American band, so it's not an English band like Deep Purple. This is a band that was
God, I always forget their English. Why do I not remember that?
Yeah, big from the late 60s until they split up in 1974. And this band, in that time, had 4 gold, 4 platinum, and 1 double platinum album. And they were one of the biggest hard rocking bands in the U.S. Not coming to you?
Guess who?
No, they were Canadian.
Damn it. I need a map.
No, this is the American band. This is Grand Funk Railroad.
Keyboard player. Yes, I forgot about them.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So
they came back.
Split, and I said they split in 74. They didn't split in 74. They split in 76. Is what I meant to say. So 69 to 76, they had all of those hits.
Yeah,
they were known as just the biggest hard rocking band, the blue collar, power that they had, and Shea Stadium and playing all these
stadium arena
huge
shows.
places. And then they partially reformed, so it's not the exact same band from the 70s. This is minus the bass player, I believe. And they released 2 albums in the 80s, 1981 and 83. This is the one that came out in 83. This was the last time they put out original music.
That was it.
This is it.
And so the reason I thought of the Doobie Brothers is because they had, with Tom Johnson, they had rocking songs. You know,
Well, then he left, and Michael
right.
McDonald
And all of a
came in,
sudden,
and-
you had this woo, 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 the keyboard, the electric piano sound. So they made a transition in a way that
Yeah.
I can't place the dates on when all that happened.
They went away too. For
They
a
went away
while.
too. So
Yeah.
I mean, it kind
Early
of
80s.
it was successful at the time. It's just that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
The last of it. So I think that was early 80s with Michael McDonald because
Yeah,
he went on to do.
It was. I think they were around the same time. 82, 83 was their
Yeah.
what they called their farewell tour at
And
the time.
the funny thing is, if you listen to the Yacht Rock channel on Sirius XM or any of those Yacht Rock type, 70s AM radio, Michael McDonald is on every third song that you listen to singing. I'm serious. It's
Well, he
amazing.
was in Steely Dan too.
Right,
so.
he was stealing it, but then he just sings harmonies on all these popular songs that if
Yeah.
you listen for, you're like, oh my God, there he is again. Yeah, that's all he is. He walks in, all right, what are we doing? Whoa, 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 whoa.
Michael, do you need the lyric sheet? I don't need the lyric sheet.
Just play it. Just play it. Roll tape. Here we go. Walking out. Done. Drop the headphones.
A watermelon.
Watermelon. But yeah, he must have made some good bank after that, just walking in and walking right back out of the studio.
Maybe he was on this singing backups. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
So getting back, Grand Funk lost
Funk.
they lost their funk.
They totally lost their
Lost
funk.
a lot of funk.
And that was Mark Farner playing keys on this because they had fired the keyboard player, so it was really just Don Brewer on drums. So they always had the two vocalists. They had the
Yeah.
drummer who sang, and they had Mark Farner who played guitar and sang. And when in the old days when he didn't play guitar, he would play like cool organ or some like cool sounding keyboard.
Yeah, the Hammond stuff.
This didn't work.
No,
there were
this
no
was-
guitars on this, and this was him playing a like Casio. sounding.
That's what's a Clavinova.
They, Grand Funk, the same thing as Foghat. The next time they got together, they were a legacy.
Let's play the
act.
hits.
They would play the casinos, and they're still
Yep,
doing it to this day.
pay our mortgage.
This was the nail in the coffin.
Wow,
It
and
didn't
see,
transition.
It's so many epiphanies tonight that you're like, that's right. Never thought about at what point did they transition into a legacy act. So these are historic moments in a way, not in a great way, but it's still fascinating to watch how many of these people fell into this hole, this trap. Almost like if you're looking back at history, we're all screaming, no, don't do that. No, don't. Stay over there.
What are you thinking?
Don't take 4 more steps. Oh.
Just keep doing what you do.
Yeah, you
That's
can
what
be-
people like.
Yeah, transition in the other direction.
Yeah.
Oh,
Be a
God.
retro act. Play it your way.
Yeah.
You made a sound that was only you. It sounded
Exactly.
like you. And all these bands that are now hard rock bands, they're trying to emulate what they heard from you. And what are you going to do? You're going to go play Duran Duran.
God.
So crazy. So here's one more.
Okay.
Now this didn't kill him, but it came close.
It hurt.
So this is the last one I have from you. You might get this one. This is a very recognizable voice, but we'll see.
You want money? You want lots of love? Oh. Want a Ferrari? Zoom. Or don't you get enough? Oh, too bad. I can get it. You want
Okay, so I have an answer, a guess, but I'm afraid if I get it wrong, I'm going to get really scorned and made fun of. So
I don't know about
I'm
that.
really scared here. But
All right.
was it Lou Reed?
It was not Lou Reed. That's a good guess, though.
Okay, so at least a good guess.
That's
He had
a good
that
guess.
talking kind of singing voice, like take a walk in the wild
So
side.
this came out in 1981, and that is by Vincent Damon Fournier, also known as the man who invented American shock rock in the 70s, Mr. Alice Cooper.
Ooh, wow. Oof. Did he record this under the Alice Cooper name, or did he go by Vinny?
No, this is Alice Cooper.
Ooh, ouch. Ooh.
Yeah, so Alice Cooper, who had 6 platinum, 1 gold, and 1 double platinum album in the 70s before hitting harder drugs and harder times in the late 70s. And by the 80s, this is what's called his trilogy of blackout albums.
Uh-huh.
And they're called that because he cannot remember a thing about recording in these years,
Oh,
these
wow.
3 albums. Special Forces, which is what this came off of, Zipper, Catches Skin, and Dada. He has no recollection of these albums whatsoever.
I mean, I've been messed up a few times, but not for that long enough to record 3
I mean,
albums.
he was an alcoholic.
Talk about
he was
for
a drug
a few
addict.
hours.
He
I was, pretty
and
hammered.
If you look at his picture on the cover of this album cover, it's called Special Forces. He looks like a skeleton almost. He had gotten so gaunt, and so you could just tell the man is sick.
He was never a handsome man.
He wasn't, but you.
But the
look at this
makeup
and
helped him, like Gene Simmons. But yeah, back then, I'm sure it was
the fact that
exacerbated.
he made it another 2 albums before he got help and didn't die is amazing.
Yeah, I knew he had struggled, but I didn't realize that. I didn't know about the blackout albums. And then he did redeem himself to some extent late 80s thanks to
He went the hairband route.
Yeah, thanks to Meatloaf.
Yeah, he went the
Or his writer. Was it Meatloaf or Meatloaf's writer that wrote Poison?
that was Desmond Child, wasn't it? That did that. There was Jim Steinman is probably who you're thinking of.
Yeah,
That's
the
who
writer
wrote all of
writer
Meatloaf
for Meatloaf stuff. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
But no, I believe Poison was Desmond Child. If I'm not correct, somebody will correct me.
It sounds like a Meatloaf song in a way if you listen to it on the right day.
It kind of does.
But anyway, so that he's an exception that didn't get canceled.
Don't know how he made it. I really don't.
No.
But I don't know if you remember the song called Clone. So he did have kind of a new wave hit before this album. So the album that came out in 1980 was called Flush the Fashion. And that was the last time that he was coherent, apparently, for a while. And he had a hit with a song called Clones. And it's very new wave as well. But that one actually worked. I think it was more of a hit maybe in the UK than it was in the US. But like I said, this album was the start of his trilogy where he doesn't remember a thing. He can't tell anything about it. And he never, ever revisits any of this material.
No, not on stage. No.
Ever.
I can understand that.
These are the forgotten years for Alice Cooper.
Better forgotten.
In more ways than one.
Yeah. Wow, this has been truly fascinating. I mean, every episode I learn something, but it's not often that I get my mind blown. I'm going to be thinking about this for a while because, like I said, it just filled in a lot of gaps that I didn't even realize, just never thought about it. I knew a lot of acts were here, and then they just started playing their hits. And I never thought about when did that happen exactly. And we all know in the 80s, we've discussed this on the show here, all about 80s bands and how they became legacy acts in 1991, or when grunge is well documented. When
They couldn't make the transition.
When grunge killed hair bands, we all agree on that.
Yeah, we don't agree on that, but
Okay, but at least we know that around that same time, we know the story's exactly the same on
everything cycles.
On every behind the music that was ever recorded. It all goes to say, well, we were flying high and flying on jets and then
then nothing.
Nirvana came out and damn it. So anyway, this is interesting to see the correlation between the death of these massive bands and new wave.
New wave is the coronavirus of 1980.
Yeah, just the big flypaper coronavirus. Throw that all together. Just a pit of despair that these bands fell into, thinking, what could it hurt? We're just going to throw in some keyboards and have fun. Let's just have some fun. No, you just completely
And get rid of the bass player because you don't really need
don't
one
need bass.
anymore.
Don't need a drummer either. Let's just go in a studio and push these buttons. Yes. What could it hurt?
God. What I'm really going to take out of this episode is that I didn't even have to prompt you. I didn't have to do anything, and you said you liked a Neil Young song.
We could edit that out.
That is not going to be
We
edited
have
out.
editing here. You're gonna make a T-shirt that says that, right?
I love Neil Young. When he's using a
Or,
vocoder.
no, you're gonna say Robert Harrison loves Neil Young. Robert Harrison said he likes Neil Young.
Of all the artists, because
Of
that's
all,
one of your...
and I like the one that was the one I liked the most of all the things. It just went so far, but it was well done. God, that's got me just completely questioning my sanity right now. What the hell?
Well, we better get out of here before
Yeah.
you blow your brain.
Well, one question. So I've got this Kiss album that's been sitting here on the bar the whole time. The very last song on here was written by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards.
It's actually not the last song on there. The
Oh, is it?
interesting thing about Kiss albums from the 70s is the song order on the back, I believe, is alphabetical, and it's not in track list.
Okay, so 2000 Man.
2000 Man is a cover that Ace sings.
Okay.
And some people love it. Some people hate it. I love it. I think it's great.
Because you and I had a conversation, I don't know if it was being recorded, but I just asked you about Kiss cover songs. I never thought about Kiss playing cover songs. Every song I heard from them sounded like an original, and you're like, no, there's all kinds of covers. And so
there's
as
one.
I'm finding them, I'm like, well, okay, they did more covers than I thought they did, but they did them in a way, in obscure enough songs that it wasn't a popular song necessarily.
Yeah, the worst one they ever did is on the Love Gun album, and it's the only thing that makes the Love Gun album not in my, top 5. And they covered Then He Kissed Me. They changed it to Then She Kissed Me.
Oh, like Tommy and the Vandells or something?
Whatever Motown group that was. It just kills the album. Absolutely kills it.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. Yeah. So anyway, that's Kiss. You love them, and then you go, what the? Okay, that's awesome. What the hell do you? That's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. Well, I think it's time to get out of here.
Yeah, I need a beer.
I need to go listen to some more New Wave. Till next time, people.
Bye.
Later.